Something strange is happening in the Yellowstone universe right now, and if you've been following Taylor Sheridan's empire even a little bit, you already know it feels like watching a dynasty slowly crumble. One by one, every spin-off we've been waiting for, gone. Cancelled, delayed, silenced without warning. 4 sixes, shelved. 1944, nowhere to be seen. Even 6666, the one everyone thought was untouchable, seems to have fallen into the Paramount abyss. But in the middle of all this chaos, one project refuses to die. One show that keeps moving forward like it knows something the rest of them don't. And that, my friends, is the Madison. Yes, while Sheridan has officially parted ways with Paramount, and the entire Yellowstone machine seems to be collapsing, the Madison is the one show that's not just surviving, it's thriving. And the deeper I looked into what's really happening behind the scenes, the more I realized this show might not only save the Sheridan universe, but also completely redefine it. Because if the Madison actually delivers on what it's promising, we might be witnessing a soft reboot of the entire Yellowstone legacy. Now, here's where things get interesting. While every other Sheridan series has been halted, rewritten, or left in production limbo, the Madison is still on track for a confirmed premiere date, January 1st, 2026. That's not a rumor. That's not speculation. That's officially updated on the show's Wikipedia page, and it's something Paramount clearly wants us to notice. Think about that timing for a second. The first day of a brand new year. Sheridan might have walked away from Paramount, but the Madison is launching right as the calendar resets, as if symbolically declaring that this universe isn't dead yet. It's starting over. And the fact that Paramount is still backing this one project, even after the so-called fallout with Sheridan, tells you something big. There's a reason they're investing in this. There's a reason the Madison survived when the others didn't. And maybe, just maybe, this series holds the key to what comes next for the Yellowstone world. Because it's not another ranching drama. It's not another story about land disputes or cattle branding. It's something else entirely. Something emotional, raw, and deeply personal. Originally titled 2024, this show was first teased as another high-stakes Western saga set within the same timeline as Yellowstone. But when that year came and went, Sheridan quietly changed the title to The Madison. And honestly, it's the smartest thing he could have done. The new title isn't just a name, it's a statement. It represents a location, yes, the breathtaking Madison River Valley in Montana, but also a theme, moving forward after loss. It's about transformation, redemption, and rebuilding your life from the ashes. And that's exactly what makes the Madison different. Instead of fighting for land, it's about fighting for healing. Instead of power and legacy, it's about grief and second chances. The story follows the Clyburn family, wealthy New Yorkers who leave their city life behind after tragedy strikes. Kurt Russell plays the patriarch. But here's the twist. His character dies before the story even begins. Episode 1 opens with his death and the aftermath that forces his wife, played by Pfeiffer, to pack up their lives and start over in the quiet, unfamiliar wilderness of Montana. From that point on, the story unfolds through grief, memory, and the tension between who we were and who we're trying to become. What's really fascinating is how this setup flips everything we've come to expect from Sheridan's storytelling. In Yellowstone, tragedy usually fuels revenge, but in the Madison, tragedy fuels rebirth. Pfeiffer's character, Stacy Clyburn, becomes the emotional heart of the series, a woman who's lost everything but still finds a way to keep her family together. She's joined by her 2 daughters, Abigail and Paige, both struggling in their own ways to adapt to a world that doesn't care about their old status or wealth. It's the ultimate fish-out-of-water story set against the harsh beauty of Montana, and it captures that perfect Sheridan balance of heartache and resilience. What's even more thrilling is that Kurt Russell's presence doesn't disappear after episode 1. Through flashbacks, we'll see the love, the regrets, and the choices that led this family to where they are now. These scenes aren't just filler. They're emotional anchors that tie past and present together, showing how grief continues to shape the living long after someone is gone.
But here's the part that gives me chills. Rumor has it, the Clyburn family ends up moving into the old Yellowstone ranch house itself, the same home where generations of Duttons lived, fought, and died. And while the land now belongs to the reservation, the actual building could easily still stand as a rental or a forgotten relic of the past. Imagine that. The Dutton home now belonging to a new family, outsiders from New York, stepping into the ghost of Yellowstone's legacy without even realizing what they're inheriting. It's poetic. It's haunting. And it's exactly the kind of symbolic storytelling Sheridan is known for. Even if it's just a rumor, it's enough to spark endless speculation, and maybe a few tears from die-hard fans who aren't ready to let go of that iconic ranch just yet. So the big question is this: why did the Madison survive when every other Sheridan spinoff fell apart? Is it just timing? Luck? Or is there something deeper happening behind the scenes, something Paramount doesn't want us to know just yet? Because if the Madison is truly moving forward without Sheridan's direct involvement, that means Paramount might be testing the waters for a post-Sheridan future, a world where his influence lingers, but his name doesn't control everything. That's a risky move. But if it works, the Madison could become the blueprint for keeping the Yellowstone universe alive long after its creator has moved on. Now here's where things really start to twist, because even though Taylor Sheridan has stepped away from Paramount, his fingerprints are still all over the Madison. It's almost like he built this one last story knowing it might have to stand on its own someday. The way it's written, the way it feels, it's unmistakably Sheridan. You can tell from the dialogue, from the quiet tension in the setup, from how every character seems to carry a secret they can't quite put into words. Even if he's not there directing every scene or signing off on every line, the spirit of his storytelling is alive and breathing through this show, and that might be why Paramount refused to let this one die. They've seen what happens when audiences connect emotionally to one of his stories. They know the Madison isn't just another Yellowstone clone, it's a spiritual evolution. It's not about cowboys protecting a ranch anymore, it's about people protecting their humanity. That's why, in my opinion, Paramount sees the Madison as the safest bet to keep the Sheridan universe relevant after the creator himself has left the building. It's the kind of story that can stand without needing Duttons, guns, or dusty politics. It's personal, grounded, and haunting in a way that sticks with you long after the credits roll. The casting choices alone tell us that this show was never meant to blend into the background. Kurt Russell and Michelle Pfeiffer as the emotional core? That's not something you throw together for a throwaway spin-off. That's a statement of intent. It's Paramount saying, "We're not done yet." Pfeiffer's Stacy Clyburn is shaping up to be one of the most layered characters in the Sheridan universe, a woman who's been defined by luxury her entire life, suddenly stripped of everything familiar, forced to rebuild from scratch in a place that doesn't care about her pain. She's not some hardened cowboy or ruthless rancher. She's a grieving wife and a desperate mother trying to hold her family together with shaking hands. And that kind of vulnerability? That's where Sheridan's writing shines brightest. It's no longer about controlling land, it's about controlling loss. The ranch becomes a metaphor for everything they've lost and everything they're trying to keep alive. And I think that's why the Madison feels so different. It's not chasing the mythology of Yellowstone, it's breaking it down to its emotional bones. Let's talk about the rest of the cast for a second, because it feels like Sheridan, or whoever is steering this ship now, handpicked every role to balance nostalgia and new energy. Bo Garrett as Abigail, the divorced daughter trying to start over with her 2 kids, brings that same fragile strength that we saw in some of Sheridan's earlier female characters, complex, flawed, and painfully real. She's not perfect, and that's exactly what makes her relatable. Her sister, Paige, played by Ella Chapman, is the total opposite, spoiled, defensive, and still clinging to the world they left behind. The contrast between them is going to be electric, especially once Montana starts to strip away their comfort zones. And then there's Patrick J. Adams as Paige's husband, the investment banker who suddenly finds himself in a world where money means nothing. You can already imagine the slow unraveling, the tension between his old life and this new, unpredictable one. It's not about cattle and land deeds, it's about identity. What happens when everything that defined you stops mattering? That's the real question the Madison seems to be asking. And then, of course, we have Matthew Fox as Paul, the rugged, solitary local who knows the land like the back of his hand. He's the kind of man Sheridan loves to write. Quiet, guarded, carrying a lifetime of unspoken pain. Rumor has it Paul becomes a mentor to the family, helping them understand how to live off the land, how to survive out there, but also how to face themselves. But the whispers don't stop there. Many fans believe he could end up being a love interest for Stacy. Now, that's the kind of twist that could split the fandom in half. On one hand, it's natural. Stacy's rebuilding her life, and Paul represents everything her husband wasn't. Raw, grounded, free from the world of wealth. But on the other hand, how do you move on from someone played by Kurt Russell? That emotional tug-of-war is going to make the show unpredictable and deeply human. It's not about who she chooses, it's about whether she can forgive herself for choosing at all. What makes this all so compelling is how the Madison seems to use grief as a kind of character. It's not just a backdrop, it's a force that shapes every decision, every relationship, every piece of dialogue. Sheridan's past works often explored trauma through violence, through external conflict. But here, the war is internal. Every character is fighting something inside them, something they can't control. And that makes the story feel alive in a completely different way. When you set that against the vast emptiness of Montana's Madison River Valley, it becomes almost spiritual, a confrontation between nature and the human soul. It's quieter than Yellowstone, yes, but that quiet hides a storm. It's that same slow-burn tension that made 1883 and 1923 so mesmerizing, but now with a modern emotional edge. And for anyone wondering if this shift means Sheridan's losing his Western touch, no. If anything, the Madison might prove he's evolving beyond the genre he built. There's also a fascinating behind-the-scenes angle that not many people are talking about yet. Some insiders claim Sheridan had already mapped out the Madison long before his fallout with Paramount, almost like he saw the storm coming. He allegedly designed it to function as both a standalone series and a soft bridge between the old Yellowstone world and whatever comes next. If that's true, it means this show isn't just surviving. It's part of a larger plan. Think of it as Sheridan's way of handing over the torch without letting it fall. The writing reportedly keeps that mix of poetic realism and raw dialogue he's known for, while also introducing new voices into the fold. So even if he's not physically behind the camera anymore, his storytelling DNA is baked into every frame. And honestly, that's what gives me hope. Because even though the Yellowstone universe feels like it's in freefall right now, the Madison might just be the proof that great storytelling can outlive the creator who started it. Maybe Sheridan doesn't need to be there for the story to thrive. Maybe the universe he built has finally grown strong enough to stand on its own. But whether that's true or not, one thing's for sure. Something about the Madison feels deliberate, planned, like it's holding on to a secret that the rest of us haven't caught on to yet. And when a show carries that kind of mystery, it's impossible to look away. The deeper you dig into the Madison, the clearer it becomes that this isn't just another Yellowstone spin-off. It's the quiet rebellion of the entire franchise. Everything about it feels like a response to what came before, almost as if Sheridan is whispering, "Let's start over, but this time, let's tell the truth." You can feel it in the premise alone. For years, Yellowstone has been about control over land, legacy, and bloodlines. But the Madison flips that idea on its head. It's not about owning the earth anymore, it's about belonging to it. That shift might sound subtle, but it changes everything. Where Yellowstone was full of gunfire, feuds, and power plays, the Madison breathes in silence, reflection, and pain. It's the story of people who've lost everything learning how to live again, and that's a much scarier journey than any land war could ever be. Because this time, there's nothing to fight for, only something to fight through. That's what makes it so haunting. Paramount knows that emotional storytelling like this has staying power. When fans tune into the Madison, they won't be looking for explosions or betrayals. They'll be looking for meaning. And the network seems to understand that, which is why this series is being treated like the prestige crown jewel of what's left of Sheridan's empire. Early reports from production insiders suggest that the Madison has been shot with an almost cinematic attention to detail, using natural light and wide Montana landscapes to emphasize just how small and lost the characters feel. It's not a ranch soap opera anymore. It's visual poetry. Every shot of the valley, every echo of wind through the grass, mirrors the grief these characters carry. It's the kind of show that doesn't need to scream to keep you watching. It just lets the silence do the talking. And in that silence, you start to hear something that feels familiar yet new. A faint echo of the Yellowstone world, but softer, wiser, and somehow more human. What's truly fascinating is how the Madison could quietly redeem the entire Yellowstone universe. Think about it. After all the chaos, the cancellations, and the off-screen drama, fans have been desperate for something that reminds them why they fell in love with this world in the first place. The Madison has the chance to do exactly that, not by copying Yellowstone, but by healing it. The Dutton's world was built on loss and revenge, and it left fans emotionally drained. The Madison takes that same pain and transforms it into something hopeful. It asks, what happens after the war ends? It's about people picking up the pieces and realizing that maybe survival isn't about winning, it's about forgiving. That's a powerful message, especially in a franchise that spent years glorifying conflict. If Sheridan wanted to leave one last mark before stepping away, this could be his most mature and emotionally honest creation yet. And let's not overlook the symbolism in the timeline. The Madison is set after the events of the original Yellowstone, meaning we'll see a Montana that's moved on. The ranches, the rivalries, even the Dutton name. It's all history now. The land is quieter, but it remembers. There's a sense that the ghosts of the past still linger in the soil, watching as a new family stumbles through their pain on the same ground that once soaked up generations of Dutton blood. If the Clyburn family really does move into the old ranch house, it won't just be a clever Easter egg, it'll be a confrontation with legacy itself. Imagine Stacy Clyburn walking through those empty halls, unaware that every plank and nail has a story attached to it. It's like Yellowstone is watching her, testing her, waiting to see if she repeats the same mistakes or breaks the cycle. That's the kind of subtle, layered storytelling that makes the Madison feel less like a spin-off and more like a haunting continuation. And yet, there's a quiet tension behind the scenes that nobody can quite explain. Even though Paramount has confirmed the release date, the studio has been unusually secretive about marketing. No trailers, no official posters, no cast interviews. Nothing. Just silence. It's almost eerie. Like they're hiding something big or waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Fans have started speculating online that this secrecy means there's a massive twist coming, something that connects the Madison to the Yellowstone universe in a way no one's expecting. Some believe a surviving Dutton could make a surprise appearance. Others think the show might reveal that the Clyburn family's new land once belonged to a key Yellowstone character. Whatever it is, the lack of publicity has only made the suspense stronger. And you have to admit, it's working. Everyone's talking, everyone's guessing, and Paramount hasn't said a word. That kind of quiet confidence usually means they're sitting on something special. But maybe the biggest mystery of all is what this show really means for Sheridan's future. If the Madison becomes a hit, it proves that his universe doesn't need to rely on one ranch or one family. It can evolve, branch out, and explore entirely new emotional territories. If it fails, though, it could signal the true end of the Sheridan era as we know it. Either way, it's a gamble. A bold one. But considering how Sheridan's storytelling has always thrived in the gray area between destruction and rebirth, maybe this is exactly where he wants his legacy to be tested. After all, every empire eventually burns, but sometimes the ashes grow into something even stronger. The Madison could be that new beginning,